My wife, a gold digger, hid a $260,000 debt and said, "It's just a small debt, nothing serious for someone like you." So I presented her with this. I'm a 32-year-old man, and I've just emerged from my divorce with her, whom I'll call Veronica. She is 30, and after discovering that she was hiding a massive debt and planning to use me as her personal ATM, our story took an unexpected turn. Buckle up because this chronicle is long, but believe me, the scandal is boiling. We met 4 years ago at a friend's pool. I'm a software architect and had made my way up alone. She worked in the luxury sector, marketing, which in retrospect should have been the first red flag. Veronica exuded confidence. Designer clothes, the latest iPhone model. Seemingly zero worries about money. On our first date, she invited me to an elegant steakhouse without even looking at the menu. I still remember thinking, this really shows she's doing well. We connected instantly. Her humor, her intelligence, and her knowing smile at my tech jokes made me feel out of my league. On Instagram, she posted perfect brunches at exclusive restaurants and luxury shopping trips in vineyards. I believed it was all the result of her professional effort, without suspecting that the support for that lifestyle was her father. 8 months later, we moved in together. My downtown condo, bought 2 years before meeting her, was more spacious, so she brought her expensive decorative objects, probably more expensive than my first car, and filled 80% of my closet with her clothes. I never cared. I'm a t-shirt and jeans guy. However, the first warning sign went unnoticed. She forgot her checkbook every month when it was time to pay the rent, citing delayed commissions or financial help to her sister. I always covered those expenses thinking we would sort it out later, and we never did. A year and a half later, she proposed to me. I cried with emotion and said yes when she handed me my grandfather's limited edition Rolex Explorer, a family symbol of commitment valued now at about $50,000, but more than its price, its sentimental significance. I saw what I believed was deep love in her eyes. Today, I suspect she was calculating the resale value. Shortly after, I adopted Rocky, a 3-year-old rescued Labrador mix, calm and affectionate. Veronica protested about the hair, the walks, and the risk of the dog ruining her designer shoes, but I stood firm. Rocky was non-negotiable. Surprisingly, she conceded without much resistance, another red flag I ignored. The wedding was intimate and simple. Veronica only cared about the commitment, not the pomp. Her father, Victor, joked insistently that I was the bank, and her mother didn't speak to me all day. My parents gave us a honeymoon in Greece. 2 unforgettable weeks. Update. Veronica tried to extend the trip another week for work. In reality, it was a trip to Las Vegas with friends, financed with a card I didn't know about. When we returned, I discovered charges of almost $1,200 on her card during the trip, purchases and experiences she never mentioned to me. Before marrying, I suggested a prenuptial agreement to protect my condo and my college investments. She accepted it immediately, and I guess she didn't even read it. The first year of marriage was stable. We traveled, progressed in our careers, and barely argued except for Rocky. Veronica would leave the door open, and the dog would escape. I would rush home from work to catch him. When I was away, she sometimes forgot to feed him, and Rocky avoided her. He would leave the room if she entered. Furthermore, she left me to take care of the decorating without telling me she had asked the management to add her name to the deed of my condo. She attributed it to an administrative error until I cleared it up. A month ago, Veronica left early on a Friday, saying she had to attend a mandatory retreat for the weekend. I later learned it was that trip to Las Vegas with her friends, paid for with a card of her own. While enjoying the calm with Rocky, I remembered I needed to prepare the documentation for taxes. I went to my office and rummaged for an hour in the filing cabinet she had reorganized months ago, but I only found magazine clippings and luxury travel brochures. Confused, I tried to find our invoices and tax receipts without luck. Then Rocky came into the study and ominously sniffed the bottom drawer of the cabinet. At first, I pushed him away, but curiosity got the better of me. I opened that drawer and discovered a worn manila folder hidden behind old magazine junk. I felt a knot in my stomach when I saw the title, Personal S. The first page was a Chase Sapphire Reserve statement with a balance of $32,490. Then an American Express Platinum with $28,650. After that, a Nordstrom card with $16,220, all in her name, with minimum payments and astronomical debts. I threw the folder onto my desk and spent the next hour unraveling that financial nightmare. Account statements, loan contracts, default notices, overdrafts. We are talking about $260,000 distributed across dozens of credit cards and personal loans at 29% interest, in addition to excessive expenses, $400 at Gucci, $800 at a spa in Sedona, $300 at Saks, $200 at a club with bottle service, and clothing purchases for Instagram that she later resold on Poshmark. Some debts dated back to before we met, as if I had been carrying them for years. Others were recent, even from last month, after our supposed economical trip to visit my parents, where she assured me she hardly spent anything, and many accounts had already been sent to collections. I felt a knot in my stomach, almost as if I was going to vomit. That woman I thought I knew better than anyone, my wife, had been leading a parallel financial life, and I had no idea. I got home around midnight and started examining every piece of paper I found. It was then that I came across a Capital One statement in my name, a card I never applied for, with a $200 balance and 60 days past due. Next appeared a Citi statement, then another from Bank of America. Identical scenario. Accounts that didn't belong to me, all with late payments that were destroying the credit history I had built since college. I discovered that those statements weren't arriving at our usual mailbox, but at a post office box I didn't know about, P.O. Box 248, in a remote downtown post office. Someone, it turned out to be her, was intercepting my correspondence, opening my letters, making minimum payments from our joint checking account, and never mentioning it to me. That revelation kept me awake. I spent the night sleepless, Googling everything related to identity theft between spouses, community property laws, and the possibility of marital fraud in my state, where debt incurred during marriage can fall equally on both. Around 3 a.m., I found a box full of correspondence in her closet, letters and credit card offers that had been opened and resealed to look intact, investment statements that I kept close track of, and even a birthday card from my grandmother with a $100 check that she never gave me. At dawn, driven by an adrenaline rush and after a Red Bull, I spread everything I had found on the dining room table. Printouts of account statements, spreadsheets detailing spending patterns, a timeline of dates and amounts. I had to make her see, without the possibility of excuse, the size of her betrayal. Rocky, our dog, stayed by my side all weekend. Every time I looked away from some financial horror, I would look at him and think, "Can you believe this, buddy?" He would tilt his head as if thinking, "I told you so. You're in trouble, brother." On Sunday night, I heard the key turn in the lock. Rocky went from relaxed to alert in an instant and stood planted between me and the door like a furry bodyguard. Veronica walked in with a carefree smile and a small shopping bag, more clothes, naturally, without imagining what she would find. When she looked into the dining room and saw the table covered in papers, her expression changed. First astonishment, then a strange calm, as if she had rehearsed the moment. "What is all this?" she asked, dropping the bag. I crossed my arms and replied with Rocky firm by my side. "This is what I discovered." She approached unhurriedly, examined the documents, and let out a dramatic sigh, as if I had committed a simple indiscretion. She sat down, interlaced her fingers, and murmured the words that sealed the end of our marriage. "Listen, honey, it's just a debt, nothing serious. $260,000 is nothing for someone like you." "Someone like me?" I asked, striving not to lose my composure while my hands trembled. "What do you mean by that?" She took my hand, and with that smile that gave me the creeps, affirmed, "You earn a lot of money. Your family has resources, and your investments are doing great. We'll simply pay it off together. That's what being married means." It was at that instant that I understood it wasn't a mistake, or bad spending habits, or even a shopping addiction. It was a carefully orchestrated plan from the beginning. She had hunted me down to leverage my credit history. She assessed my finances and decided to use me as her economic lifeline. "Were you planning to tell me?" I insisted. She shrugged. "Why stress now? Can't we just fix it?" I pointed to the most recent credit inquiry, a loan application processed last week with my social security number, without my consent. That was identity theft. "Veronica, this is fraud," I said, "and it's not done by a stranger. It's done by your wife." She rolled her eyes. "Don't be dramatic. What's strange about your wife using your information? What's ours is ours, right?" When I asked her about the cards in my name, she didn't even deny opening them. She justified herself. "You earn 6 figures and barely spend. I was managing everything." I reminded her that according to our prenuptial agreement, my premarital tech investments were protected. Her face paled. She had never read it carefully. And yes, that text covered absolutely all my previous assets. That same night, I slept in the guest room, unable to sleep. Rocky abandoned his usual corner and lay down next to me. He was the only one in the house who showed me loyalty. The next morning, she prepared breakfast while I pondered what to do. I told her, "Your secrets end here." In the afternoon, I called my lawyer, Frank, a former military man in his 50s, known for his ferocity in family courts. His office was modest, above a downtown cafe. "I've seen many things in my 20 years of practice," he told me after hearing my story, "but this surpasses everything. Calculated, not just lying, but deliberate aggression." Frank confirmed that, as a community property state, half of the debt incurred during the marriage might fall on me. However, opening accounts in my name without my permission was a criminal offense, prenup or not. Immediately after, I took Rocky for a long walk and called my mother. "I never trusted her," she told me without surprise. "She always saw you as an ATM, not a husband." That night, I skipped work for the first time in 3 years. The next day, I began the divorce proceedings. I thought the biggest risk was financial, but in the end, I understood that the worst part was the betrayal, something against which even the best credit history cannot protect. I never authorized it. Identity theft is a crime, even within marriage, and those cards opened in my name constitute a federal crime. "So what do I do?" I asked, feeling my life slipping through my fingers. Frank, my lawyer friend, put order into the nightmare I could barely process. "Record absolutely everything, words, messages, documents, and photograph every piece of evidence, make physical and digital copies, create a timeline, and if the state law allows it, record conversations. Do not confront her until you have a solid plan." "She's already trying to sweeten you up," he warned. "Breakfast in bed, promises to fix it together. That's the damage control manual. She'll make you feel guilty or seduce you into forgetting. Don't fall for the trap." With that strategy, a script worthy of Sun Tzu, I began to protect my assets and gather evidence like preparing for a war while feigning normalcy. Monday, I opened a new account at another bank. I transferred the exact half of our joint fund, $20,100 for each, so she couldn't accuse me of emptying it. Tuesday, I froze my credit report at the 3 credit agencies, placed fraud alerts, and disputed all the accounts I never requested. Wednesday, I rented a safe deposit box and installed my vital papers there, the original prenuptial agreement, family heirlooms, and my Rolex. I had a bad feeling. Thursday, in human resources, I removed Veronica as a beneficiary of my life and health insurance. I changed passwords, activated 2-factor authentication, and flagged my investments to report any suspicious movement. Every afternoon after work, I recorded videos reviewing folders, downloaded statements that unmasked her purchases, and built a spreadsheet detailing, line by line, the hidden $260,000 debt. Seeing everything in order was depressing but essential. The weekend was unbearable. Veronica was overly affectionate, brushing my neck, proposing vacations to reconnect, and suggesting merging all our accounts for transparency. In reality, she was monitoring every click I made on the laptop. While she practiced caresses, I organized my escape. I reserved a pet-friendly Airbnb across town. I paid a month in advance and sent a basic kit of clothes and personal items to my office. "And Rocky?" I asked, closing the meeting with Frank. "He's property in a divorce. Secure his adoption and veterinary history," he replied. I gathered those documents and waited 10 days. When Veronica left to see a client, I confirmed her location on Find My Friends. I took the day off. Ryan, my colleague, arrived with his truck. I only took what was strictly mine: clothes, office equipment, and all of Rocky's things. Before leaving, I changed the alarm and garage codes. I revoked her access to the home automation system. I left the key and a divorce petition on the counter along with a dossier of evidence. I blocked her calls. I only left email open for legal matters. That night, pizza with Ryan in front of an upside-down framed photo. "Are you okay, brother?" For the first time in a long time. "I think so," I replied, surprised to be telling the truth. Hours later, my cell phone exploded with notifications. Veronica went from confusion to anger to pleading in 20 minutes. I didn't answer. Then her parents called mine. My father settled the discussion. If a secret $260,000 debt is a small problem, I don't want to imagine what you consider a financial crisis. On Instagram, she was already the victim of a controlling husband, conveniently hiding her fraud. Half of our friends asked me if I was okay. The other half shared posts about toxic men and financial abuse. The irony hurt. The next day, I received an alarm alert. Someone opened the safe. I checked the camera and saw Veronica rummaging through it, empty. Minutes later, she called my mother. According to her, I had stolen the Rolex she gave me. My blood boiled. I filed a police report for identity theft and theft of the watch. My lawyer sent a 12-hour ultimatum to return it. Her response: "Come get it, you jerk." I went with a police escort. The scene was surreal. Tiffany, her best friend, was picking up clothes. Seeing me with 2 officers, she almost fainted. "We are here for misappropriated property," the officer said. I noticed Rocky's bed, toys, and bowls were gone. "Veronica donated them. She said you abandoned the dog," Tiffany stammered. I showed the officer the adoption papers, veterinary history, and hundreds of photos. Rocky had been with me for 2 years. The watch was not in plain sight, but Veronica was never creative at hiding things. I went straight to her secret shoebox in the guest closet. There it was, wrapped in a scarf. They packaged it as evidence. I was reviewing the remnants of the home I once shared with Veronica when I found a folder labeled Rocky. Inside, I discovered falsified relocation papers. It was documentation prepared to transfer my dog to her cousin's custody in Oregon the following week. She had planned to kidnap him out of pure revenge. Without wasting time, I handed the documents to the police and added conspiracy to steal a pet to the report they had already opened. 20 minutes later, Veronica burst in a rage, accusing me of violating her privacy. The officers showed her the complaint and the original invoice for the Rolex watch, a family heirloom she had tried to sell. "Lies!" she screamed. "He gave it to me." "Madam," my lawyer intervened, unfolding our prenuptial agreement to page 4, paragraph 3. "The watch is listed as a conditional loan. It is protected." Veronica swallowed. She confessed she never read the document before signing it. She changed tactics. "What about the Chanel bags? The Louboutins you gifted me? Those don't come back, right?" "Gifts are still yours," I replied without raising my voice. "The Rolex was never a gift, but a documented family loan." One of the police officers pulled out the relocation papers. "What about these forms that indicate you plan to move the plaintiff's dog out of state without permission?" Veronica's face went from anger to panic in half a second. She stammered that she just wanted to help him find a good home, but the printed dates gave her away. Meanwhile, I saw her father's car arrive. "Victor, we'd better leave," I murmured to the officer. "He'll only make the scene worse." I wasn't wrong in my prediction. Victor got out of the car, puffing out his chest. "You think you can get rid of my daughter after everything she did for you?" "You raised a swindler, Victor. Congratulations," a police officer intervened. "Sir, "Step back. You are obstructing a procedure." "Do you know who I am?" Victor shouted. "I play golf with the commissioner. And I'm not impressed, even if you play Twister with the Pope," the senior officer replied. "Step back." I left with the watch on my wrist and without looking back. Sitting in the patrol car, I ordered a top-notch security system from my cell phone for the Airbnb where I lived with Rocky. I wasn't going to risk another assault. Veronica's creditors started calling me nonstop. Apparently, she had listed me as a trusted contact without my consent. I blocked more than 20 numbers in just 3 hours. As the divorce progressed, more scandals emerged. Veronica had been fired from her luxury marketing agency 6 months ago for expense fraud. She pretended to go to the office while dedicating herself to shopping, spas, and brunches with equally unemployed friends. Her parents paid some bills but ignored the true size of the debt. She had forged Victor's signature to take out a second mortgage on a condo in Phoenix. Victor, dismayed, called me to apologize. Too late. I found emails with a dubious divorce lawyer dated before I discovered the debts. She planned to move us to a spousal support-friendly state, divorce there, and drain my finances. Her alternative plan, if I discovered the mess before the move, was to get pregnant without me knowing. I found web searches about secret fertility and how to overturn a prenup in case of pregnancy. Meanwhile, Rocky and I adapted to our temporary life. The Airbnb had a huge yard. He ran free while I took him to the office, which is dog-friendly. The administrator stored biscuits for him, and we went for a run every morning. Without Veronica's complaints about hair or dirty paws, I discovered how much invisible tension had remained. Update. The divorce was finalized last week at record speed. The evidence of fraud and the ironclad prenup left the judge with no doubts. Rocky remained legally under my exclusive guardianship. I kept my condo, all my premarital investments, and my retirement accounts. Veronica was ordered to cover her own debts, undergo mandatory financial counseling, and maintain a distance of 500 feet, 150 meters, from me, my house, my work, and Rocky. She could only take her personal belongings, except for the Rolex and the rental car, which was already in her name. Upon hearing the verdict, Veronica burst into tears of pure rage. "This is unfair. It's an open and shut case. Consider it a lesson on honesty and fiscal responsibility," Judge Harris replied, unperturbed. Veronica tried to approach again. My lawyer reminded her of the judicial perimeter, and a sheriff stepped forward. She backed away, hissing, "This isn't over." For me, however, it was completely over. 3 creditors won judgments against her. They are garnishing her wages. She returned to her parents' house because her credit score fell to an apocalyptic level. She tried to reinvent herself as a financial wellness coach on Instagram. But a debt collector discovered her account and left comments about her debts on every post. Victor had to sell the vacation home to cover the mortgage his daughter forged in his name. I discovered that I was not her first victim, just the biggest fish. I bought out my partner's share and expanded the company. We just signed a contract that will double annual revenue. I left the condo, too many memories, and bought a house with a gigantic yard for Rocky. The office includes a built-in bed for him. We travel together whenever I can. I go to the gym and resumed hobbies. On weekends, I go mountain biking and joined a local poker group. I've had a couple of no-strings-attached dates. There's no rush for anything serious. Rocky has gained 2 kilos of muscle. The groomer says his coat has never looked better, probably because he's no longer living stressed. A dog walker takes him hiking when I have endless meetings, and he befriended the neighbor's golden retriever. The Rolex rests in a safe deposit box. Perhaps one day it will be inherited by someone who deserves it, or maybe I'll keep it as a reminder to trust my intuition. A few days ago, Veronica sent me an email, the first one that wasn't a threat or a reproach. She says she's in therapy, confronting her toxic relationship with money, and asks for my forgiveness. I haven't replied. Some bridges are best left burned. Victor also wrote, "I hope you're satisfied." The truth is, I am. My grandfather used to say to me when handing me the Rolex, "Time is valuable, son. Don't waste it on someone who squanders your trust." Now, as I write, Rocky bangs the floor with his tail. not understanding that his instinct saved me from more years of deception. Tonight, we'll celebrate with a new bone for him and a cold beer for me. To loyal dogs and financial freedom, the only companions a man needs.